Hi friends, I'm Joel John. Wearing face mask just to promote the usage of face mask. I am alone on this room, so for clear voice to be heard on the videos, just remove it. Use face mask, hand sanitizer, and wash your hands frequently with the hand wash soap. And take bath when you move out of home and when you come back to home. And keep yourself away from the pandemic. So now getting into the topic, this is about claim status, which is a part in medical billing process. It's a part of AR calling, that's account receivable calling. That's the those who are covered under insurance in US, they will just provide the insurance card details, and initially the hospital will just verify whether the insurance is valid and get prior authorization if it's required for that particular treatment. And after that, uh, once the bill is generated, they will send the details to the insurance company, and insurance company will pay for this. Following and getting the payment from insurance company is called as account receivable process. That's AR calling in medical billing term, and it's one of the most outsourced process from US healthcare industry. And I have got the value map as well. I got it for some other reason. So now, for looking at our India is here and US is there. From there, the process is getting outsourced here. So now, in AR calling, there are two stages. One is they just follow up and check whether the payment is done, get the payment details, and make sure that they have received the full amount. Or in case of any denial, they will work on that. That's called as denial management. So now one is called as checking the claim status, and another one is denial management and getting the payment for the denied CPT codes and CPT codes and revenue codes. And in some cases there will be also the claim will be fully denied. We will also speak about that. So now our main focus is on claim status. Denial management, I will speak with you about that in detail in a later topic. So now claim status. So first, when as I told you, now the patient has given used his insurance card for availing the treatment. So now we have to make a call to that particular insurance company. On that, you will be having a specific number for checking the client status, or you will be having the provider care number. You can call to them, or if you don't have that as well, you can call to the customer care number. First, they will ask for the insurance information, then they will validate whether you are calling from the provider's office by asking you few informations like the tax ID number or NPI number and the facility name. These are the few questions which they commonly ask for verification. That's called as authentication of call. After that, we have to start asking the questions like, have you received the claim, which is for the date, that's the date of service you have to give, and the billed amount, that's the total bill amount of the claim you have to give. So if there are multiple claims on the same day, they will be able to find out the correct claim. Okay, and now if the claim is received, you have to get the claim receive date, process date, and the paid date. If they say that the claim is not received, then you can ask some probing questions like, is there any other claim received on that day for a different billed amount, or on or some other day which is still not processed with the same billed amount? Because sometimes they give the date of service wrong, and sometimes they give the billed amount wrong, or a typo error may have happened. On those cases, if you check with that and ask them to recheck with the claim form and their system data, they will be able to correct that. Okay, this is one correction at an earlier stage. Okay, and after that, getting into the call, you will ask for the claim receipt date, process date, and paid date. So now if they say that the claim is paid, or they may say that the claim is still under processing. For claim processing, there is a certain kind of standard times. Mostly it will be 30 days or 45 days from the date the claim is received. Okay, not the day bill date. From the date the claim is received. Okay, and mostly we will give a follow-up call after 15 days itself, because sometimes if the claim form is not received, then we will it will take to a longer amount of delay. If the claim form is not received, you should recheck the claiming address. That's the address to which a paper claim has to be sent. Most probably we send electronic claims, for which we need the payer ID. If that they don't have a payer ID, then you have to get the fax number. And when you get a fax number, you should also get we what should you mention on attention to? And similarly for email, what should be mentioned on the subject? Attention to which department? That's very important. And when you get the claim address, also you have to get the attention to department. That's one reason claims go missing, because when the attention to department is there, even if it goes wrongly to another department, they will send it, the correction will happen within them. So attention to is very important. For emails you should mention it is on subject, for letters on the address, and for fax again on the fax body you should mention it attention to before the body of the letter comes. So this is one important thing which you have to mention. And in electronic fax also you have a subject column, so keep that in mind. Mostly we send electronic faxes. So this is about resending the claim form. Now they have said that claim is paid, so can we close the call by just getting the claim payment information? No, we shouldn't do that. What we have to do is we have to probe and ask a question, that is the claim fully paid, partly paid, or fully denied? So nowadays, another one miscap which happens is the insurance rep, even if it's partly paid, he will say that it's fully paid. So we should know how to calculate whether it's fully paid or partly paid. So now we have to talk about the terminologies in this payment. So the what are the payment terms we have is, we have something like billed amount, which is the amount for which we are billing, and there's another one amount called as allowed amount, and then there is another one amount called as paid amount. So the billed amount and the allowed amount, what's the relationship between these two? As you know, you would have heard of fee schedule. In case of in-network providers, they have a Excel format. For our understanding, you can take it as Excel format, wherein for each CPT code for that particular hospital, they will have a amount dollar value fixed, which is a discounted price given by the provider to this insurance company, as they are in a business relationship, which is called as in network. Okay. Out of network is if the insurance company, if this hospital doesn't have a tie up with this insurance company, then it's out of network. And there is another one amount called as contracted amount. So this contracted amount fee schedule, some insurance company which is well established have this methodology. Some other companies will go with that of a standard value like Medicare or Medicaid, to have an attractive edge on the consumer market. What they will do is, our fee schedule will be Medicare contracted amount plus 10% plus 25%. This kind of attractive things they do. So this is how you arrive at an allowed amount. Okay, so now in case of insurance cover, the payment which the hospital will receive is only the allowed amount, not the billed amount. Billed amount will be on a much higher level. So the allowed amount is what they are going to receive. So you have to get this allowed amount. But this paid amount and the allowed amount will not be the same in all the cases. Why? This is the important question which you have to ask the rep. Why is this allowed amount and paid amount varies? Some people will directly answer, some people will have a little bit of hesitation. So on that case, you have to check whether all the line items in the claim form paid. For each line item will have a revenue code or a CPT code. So if he still struggles, say that, see on the description of the bill, that's UB04 form or CMS form, is all the CPT codes and revenue code mentioned or paid. You can ask it very directly. At this time, most of them will be able to understand. And then you have to ask for whether this what are all the revenue codes and CPT codes which are not paid, and what are all the reasons. One reason which you will come across is global bundle and incidental. These two are cases wherein one CPT code will be paying for the entire amount, or some CPT codes will be both, for both the codes there will be only one payment. Those kinds of things are there. Global bundle and incidental, I will explain it on a separate video, as for the fact people understanding won't be there beyond 15 minutes, and I also cannot speak much long on a single video. Okay, fine. So I will give the playlist on at the end. and about the entire medical billing and as well as the claim status and other interview preparation videos. So go through that for picking out the relevant topic video and go through all the videos for your full knowledge. So now coming back, now we have understood how what is the reason for the allowed amount and paid amount to be different. So these things you have to detailedly note it down when you check for the claim status, because this is how the denial management is going to happen. And when we check for this claim status is when we haven't received the EOB, explanation of benefits, or ERA, remittance, explanation of remittance advice. When the ERA is for electronic claims and EOB is for paper claims. And sometimes even electronic claims, if they reply through paper mails, they will send a EOB. And for the patient, they get the EOB along with the check, uh, in case if the patient has paid and then the hospital reimburse. So on these times, some also the both EOB and ERA comes in, but most of them send it through electronics by email. And for provider office also sometimes again it happens when there is a dispute, they do send the EOB, paper EOBs. Most of the times you can ask them to send it through fax. Okay, so these two, electronic remittance advice and explanation of benefits, these two are the same. So explanation for this papers you have to check before getting into the claim status process. If you have doubts on that, with UOB you can call and check with them. But mostly what they do is once they get the UOB, they will directly call and get this pay details alone. Check and other details won't be there on the UOB. It will just have the allowed amount, paid amount, billed amount, and what are all the codes denied and the allow. So this difference, this financial calculation, you can do it before going through the call and just get the payment details, like what is the payment mode, like check or EFT. In case of check amount, check date, whether it's paid or not. In case of it's paid, check enhanced date, encashed date, that is when the amount is paid through the provider office account. And similarly for EFT date. And in some cases, the EFT is not paid, you can check it with the EFT number. And still, if you have a confusion, you can check whether the EFT has got encased. Most of them they will say that on the same day itself it will got encased, but practically there are cases in which the even in spite of EFT number being the correct, there are bounce cases which happens due to some electronic errors. Very rare cases, but on those cases you can get the proof and ask them to redo the EFT payment. And check, what we come across is check wouldn't have been encashed. Okay, so on those kinds of scenarios also they will say that whether the check is encashed on this date, it's encashed. Then you can go and check with your accounts, that's the hospital accounts, or with the bank statement whether it's really encashed or not. So these are other scenarios. In case you have a UOB or ERA, you directly jump into this stage. In case when you don't have that, you have to get all the details. Sometimes if in the UOB what they if there is a difference between the paid values, then you have to call and check. You have to, that will be done on the denial management side, as I already told you. The reason is like denial management and the claim status checking, in sometimes they couple it, but it's will be a little bit harder side, because claim status you can just have a fresher and do that. It's not, there's nothing much hard on that, they should just have a general knowledge. For denial code management also, it's not a very great magic. Most of the time you can have a denial code, what are all the frequently asked questions, and go ahead with that. Only mostly they say it as medical necessity is not met, so for which we have the LCD and NCD guidelines. So based on that, you have to check with them what guidelines you follow and then go with that. No one is going to remember all the kind of medical necessity scenarios. These are available on Medicare websites, and so there are also the third party websites. Using this you can manage for medical necessity cases. Apart from this medical necessity cases, what scenarios we have? Global bundle, NCCI edit Excel sheet has to be downloaded. You can check only on that, that will be revised once in 6 months. So you have to be careful and download the new sheets. And in between, if there is any circular comes, you have to check with the AMCA website for medical billing. Okay, okay friends, this is the main thing about that. So another one main request is, Don't rely much on your knowledge. Always follow the standard procedures. And when I speak about denial management, I will speak in detail about that. What are the best practices to follow? Nowadays, I come across complaints from many of my followers in YouTube that the processes and projects are failing in 3 months, 6 months. Within 1 month, the client runs away. So I am going to make a separate video on that. Why medical billing processes are getting ramped out at a very lesser months. It's because some people think they are over intellectual, over brilliant, and they depend on their memory, and they don't follow the standard operating procedure. If you follow the standard operating procedure, like any other BPO job, you are just going to cut, copy, paste, read the instruction, and validate and use some knowledge. You should know the terminologies. As I told you, some few of the checking levels. You should follow the standard operating procedures. That can be given on the training. Nobody can by got everything. I do agree there will be exceptionally some people who are over brilliant, over talented. We have cases where they memorize great poems like Tirukural and say all those, and very small children are do that. I much appreciate that. There may be some extraordinary brilliance in that team like that, but all the persons, when you look at that they're working on night shifts and other things, better that these are all standard operating procedures of American Medical Association. So just follow that as you're working for them, and use the Excel sheets, use the web tools available, and work on that. Definitely the process will succeed. If not, analyze what the problem with the person, provide them with more support. And memory and high skill. Also, people omit these things as be thinking that once they become some senior, I know everything, so that I won't check the records. That's where process fail. That's where people do mistake. And also rushing up on a very high speed and hurry burry. Avoid all those things. And when as I am talking about claims, one thing which made me to shock was one person called and asked me, my manager said that we should find a method wherein we can correct the claims from our end. That's the claim form. They are talking about the UB04 and CMS 1500 forms. And I told them that these are to be done by the hospital, and there are a lot of columns which should be verified by the doctor only based on the doctor information and qualified nurse information, or a qualified PA fields has to be entered. And in US they have a certification course. Only people who finish the certificate will be doing that. These things cannot be outsourced to India or done in India. So just think within the boundaries. They always used to say that there is a system, you have to operate within the system for operating at a better efficiency. So thinking beyond levels, I really appreciate. Even I do may think something different, but on this kind of competitive era, and also work from home, and the pandemic which is prevailing, and loss of jobs for many people, there's being a little bit disturbance on the systems as well. But still, don't go through these parts and try out something. Definitely you won't have access for that, because they have very strong guidelines in US, and this will only increase the pressure on your team members. So think before you commend someone whether we can do that. Practically practice that. Even if you can do that, check whether everyone in your team can do that. To be a good leader, you should be able to give the work to all the people in a way that they can work, and you should also bring them up to that level. You should not find out ways to push in more pressure, get more results, and what happens is you get more errors. Okay, not a problem. And don't talk directly like this to your team leads or someone. They may get more angry on you, but still try to explain them for our efficiency. And these are the standard procedures. This will help us a lot. And if some key people and higher officials in medical billing also watch my channel, and they also speak to me, I feel very happy about that. If you come across this video and if you hear this, make sure that your team members don't follow these kinds of things. And your leads, or even if you are a lead, try to understand the scenario hearing this video. Because when you pressurize more your people and also ask for things which they cannot do, what they will be able to do, they won't be able to do something. Only the pressure will increase. And even if you try to do, definitely you cannot do it on the software. Again, I am saying it upfront, anywhere it will be locked, because you will be working on your client software. Okay, okay, fine, friends, and I'm taking too much of time. We can wind up this and we can get into the next topic. And I will be making videos for the client forms as well. Some of my callers asked for that as well. They said that we are having a lot of difficulties on that. Why I am going to make the video, I am telling it upfront. That's for you to know where you have to fetch the details on call to speak with the US insurance rep. You cannot correct anything on that. The softwares won't permit you. Don't try to do those kinds of things. And soon I will be trying to do that. The reason why I am delaying is I also forget a lot of things, as I am planning to move towards digital marketing. So I am moving out of the medical billing field. So soon you will be having a lot of videos on digital marketing and about social media. So all of you will enjoy that. Even if you are not into that field, you can learn and use it for your social media accounts. And you can also open a YouTube channel like me. But in the meanwhile, I will get try to do it on Zoom and record that video and post it on YouTube, because I can show you the form and explain. And also I have to relearn the things. I forgot a lot of things, so I will give it to you at a high accurate level. So subscribe, press the bell symbol and enable all notification, so that when I post that video you will get that. And also the playlist which I am putting here, watch that as well and take the link and save it. Whenever you want, you can share it with your friends groups and watch that. The upcoming claim form explanation form for both UB04 and CMS 150, I will be explaining about all each and every field in that form. This is only for you to do the analysis, because all of you will have access to view the form, because you have to get the full payment from the rep, right? So most of the cases you will have access to view the form. Only looking at the form you will tell the date of service and bill amount. And also you will be able to check what are all the CPT codes and the revenue codes which are not getting paid. So those kinds of things are very essential. And during this also, the denial management knowledge is essential, because at this time also the client always they don't give just the denial code. They may come up with some other reasons, like prior authorization not obtained. If it's an emergency treatment, prior authorization is not required. That can be found by the CPT and revenue code itself. All those details I will speak on when I speak about the denial management process. Okay, fine, friends. I have taken much long. It's time to say bye, and give a thumbs up to this video below and share your valuable comments. And that's the way we can communicate. I or someone else also may answer, which will be very valuable for you. It's Joel Janjay signing off. Bye.